and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last."
Okay, so that is Dr. Martin Luther King's famous speech, "I Have a Dream." Before I move on, has anybody actually heard that entire speech before or watched it before? Owens raised his hand, Scotty. I know you might have heard parts of it, but it's been a while since I've actually watched the entire speech. I still get, it's very moving to hear, I guess you could say, what he's talking about in his speech and what he's trying to get across to the clearly hordes of people who have come to see him. I know this video is obviously from the time he spoke, which is in the early 1960s. So it's kind of blurry. It's nothing to do with my screen. It's just the quality of the camera work. But you can see, if you've ever seen a picture of Washington Monument, I'll pull up a picture on Google. Washington Monument. Washington Monument. If we look, this is called, they call it the Mall. Is that really long pool? And it's actually, if we're standing here, you're standing on Lincoln Memorial and you're looking at the Washington Monument. If you can see in this video, that is all full of people in front of it. So I wonder if there's a better view. If I say Lincoln Memorial, he's standing right, all these people are over here and he's standing in front of this monument, Lincoln Memorial. So obviously lots of people are there. What I would like to do is, what is their answer? MLK stated that all men are created or were created. What do I put there? William.
Equal.
Equal. EQUAL. All men were created equal. What state does MLK mention was sweltering with injustice? Sweltering is normally referred to as heat, but it can be also, in this case, like bubbling over almost with the amount of injustice and basically racism that was happening in that state. Taya, what state was that?
Mississippi.
Mississippi. So if we are unfamiliar with how to spell Mississippi, it's MISSISSIPPI. 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 My children will not be judged by the color of their blank, but by the content of their character. James.
Skin.
Skin. Why do you think this video is not in color? Why is this video not in color? Owen?
It was made in the early 60s or late 60s.
Early 60s. The video was taped in the early 1960s. So color cameras weren't really widely available at the time. So kind of the early technology was just coming out for that. So the video was obviously taped in black and white. The people are not obviously just sitting there in black and white and grays. They are in color. And funny enough, if you saw this neat thing over on the side, it kind of reveals the questions and answers. It's kind of fun. If you move it over, and it's in 1963, which was what I thought in my head, but I didn't want to say the wrong year. So 1963. This next slide that we have, fun facts about MLK. It might be hard to fill in this one with just the speech. We are going to read a text, so you could come back to fill it out. There's also some research that you could do if you click on these links at the bottom to help you fill it out. So you could click on one of those links to help you research 4 facts this is going to be part of your independent work when I release you. There's 3 links that you could click on. But you need to come up with 4 facts about MLK. I'm going to skip that part and give us time to write right now about my dream or your dream. So this would be you writing. I would like you to write your own I have a dream speech in the text box above. Now, this is not, you know, like I have a dream that my mom will buy me my newest toy or iPad or iPhone that I want. That's a gift, right? We're talking about something that's important, like thinking of Earth Day with things being recycled, keeping our earth clean. You could think of everything going on in the world right now. There are so many things you could pick to talk about that you want to see change. It's basically what you want to see change with in the world. Okay? What do you think should change, and what is your dream about that? Olive, I saw your hand first, then I'll get Owen's question.
His Martin Luther King's speech was about racial injustice. May I write about that too, but not in my own word. But I mean, in my own words.
I mean, it's still something that is being a movement right now, so you can most certainly talk about that. Owen, did you have?
Same thing.
Okay, all righty. So I'm going to put, just like the other day, I'm going to put a timer up, and I want you to spend this class time writing your dream speech, what you would put. So dream speech, that's not one sentence. I would like you to have 3 to 4 sentences for that slide, okay? I'm pulling this up because this is where my timer is. I'm going to put a timer for about 8 minutes for us to work on this. Charlotte, really quick. Charlotte, I can't hear you. It could be that your headphones with it being plugged in. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay.
We read the story one time, and we do not go back and forth from the questions to the passage. So some of us are not getting the best scores on our read works as we could be, okay? These are always assigned so that they are meeting our level of reading, okay? So please make sure you're going back and forth from the questions to the passage, just like you would if this was a test. This is great. I see Eliza's already in there. I see Hank is there. Liam and Nuchin and Olive are there. Owen is there. Taya is there. I know that some of you still want to work on that MLK I Have a Dream, but we need to, remember, your independent work for the day. And we are going to the read works portion right now. So everybody needs to go to that. Please and thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read it for the first time and then point out what the questions are going to be. Honoring King, Americans pay tribute to a leader's legacy. For many Americans, Martin Luther King Jr. Day isn't just a day off work, from school or work. They will make it a day on and participate in community service projects in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. A great leader, King, born in 1929, he was murdered in 1968, was a famous civil rights leader. When King was growing up, the South was segregated or separated by race. Black people did not have the same rights as white people. Under the law, they were not allowed to attend the same schools as white people and had to sit in the back seats of buses. Black people also had to use separate restrooms and drinking fountains. When King was older, he worked to change these unjust laws. That means that they are unfair. During the 1950s and 1960s, he gave speeches and organized peaceful marches and protests. Beginning in 1955, King led the famous Montgomery bus boycott. For 381 days, that's longer than a year, guys, African Americans boycotted or refused to use public buses in the Alabama city. A year later, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that segregation on buses was illegal. King gained national attention from the boycott and in 1963 delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. He told a crowd of more than 200,000 people in Washington, D.C., that his dream was for all people to be treated fairly and equally under the law. As a result of his work, civil rights laws were passed. Those laws protect the rights of all Americans. A day of service. Many people celebrate King's legacy on Martin Luther King Jr. Day with parades and other events. The legacy of a leader is something he or she has accomplished that would benefit future generations. For King, that meant making the world a better place. Thousands more honor King by cleaning parks, volunteering at homeless shelters, and participating in other community service projects. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve, King once said. By taking part in community service projects, Americans are able to keep this leader's dream alive. And then here's some quick facts about Martin Luther King Jr., a civil rights hero. January 15th, 1929, he's born in Atlanta, Georgia. August 28th, 1963, he delivers his "I Have a Dream" speech in Washington, D.C. December 10th, 1964, he becomes the youngest person to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. April 4th, 1968, he is assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. That means somebody came and they shot him. So he died in 1968. In January 20th, 1986, Martin Luther King Jr. Day was first observed as a national holiday. So he dies, and then about 20 years later, they create this day that we all have off on like the third week of January, always a Monday, and we observe it as a national holiday. That means schools are let out, businesses don't work, everybody uses the day as a day off. And as they said in the article, many use it as a day of service and a day of celebration honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. If we look at the question, there are two sets of questions. One is 8 questions and one is 5 questions. You must do both sets. The first set is the comprehension questions on the article. There's 8 questions there. So you need to toggle back from passage to questions to see what the answers are, to really find text-based answers. Do not forget, I see a lot of times questions like 6 and 7 where you're supposed to type your answer. Friends are leaving those blank and you are just submitting it without doing it. You need to make sure you do those questions, and I need to see them in a complete sentence, like a UPQ. I grade them and I give you half the points if it's not written in a complete sentence. It says, describe what life was like in the South when Martin Luther King Jr. was growing up. I distinctly remember that part. There is an entire 2 sentences right here. I can even highlight those sentences using my tools in ReadWorks. Did you know you can highlight? When King was growing up, the South was segregated or separated by race. Black people did not have the same rights as white people. Under the law, they were not allowed to attend the same schools as white people and had to sit in the back of the buses. I am not going to copy and paste that. Instead, I might type something along the lines, life in the South for Martin Luther King Jr. was very hard. There was segregation, which means Black people could not use the same things as white people, such as drinking fountains, buses, and schools. I'm using all the information from that article. I'm giving you just an example. I'm not necessarily giving this time as a time for you to copy my answer. I'm giving you an example of what I think would be a great 4th grade answer. Okay, so I would like you to follow suit and try to come up with a very similar type of sentence and response using UPQ, using text evidence. Okay, so I get down here and then I have to hit next because the second section of questions are about genre, which means like the type of writing. So it has Martin Luther King is famous for his I Have a Dream. What is it? Honoring King is an example of blank. Okay, and going on, this is all about the type of writing. And in number 5, it's your kind of opinion writing, but thinking of a hero in your own life. How is that person similar to and different from Martin Luther King Jr.? I look forward to reading responses that you have about your own hero. Okay? Do I have any questions